Now, tomorrow the Electoral Commission releases its decision on the position of Māori seats in Parliament. The crunch question is, have enough voters signed up to the Māori roll to increase the 7 existing seats? Meanwhile, Te Karere polled more than 1,000 people, asking why an increasing number of Māori are opting for the general roll and if Mana and the Māori Party should unite. Reporter Ngahuia Wade analysed the results with young Māori voters from Auckland University.
25% of the population is Māori. 25% of Parliament should be composed of Māori sort of seats.
I think it's about the quality of leadership, not about the numbers.
From Parliament to the classroom, they're divided.
If all Māori right now enrolled on the Māori roll, we would get 13 seats in Parliament. Do we need those 13 seats?
I feel like you'd need to be very careful not to risk a backlash from kind of the mainstream population because people are, I think there's a lot of almost hysteria about those seats anyway.
We've been doing that for too long now and it's not working, and so I'm talking about, we've got to care for what other people think about how we're meant to be. No way, no.
Since 1997, the number of Māori voters on the Māori roll has increased by more than 64,000, and the number of Māori voters on the general roll has decreased by almost 13,000. Now the point is, there has never been an increase of Māori voters on the general roll till now. This year, 2,000 Māori voters opted for general. So why is this? A Te Karere Digipoll asked more than 1,000 voters whether the increase from Māori to general was influenced by the Māori Party relationship with National, 20.5%, Māori hōhā with fighting between Mana and the Māori Party, 20%, the recent leadership dispute within the Māori Party, 12.7%, less need for Māori seats, 2.4%. Don't knows, 13.6%, but the biggest number of those polled wanted to support mainstream parties, 30.8%.
By putting ourselves in the general seats, we're making the bigger parties, but not only the bigger parties, but Parliament in general, take Māori more seriously instead of just shoving us to the side, as they sort of do when we're in our electoral seats, our own electoral seats.
24-year-old Tyrone Hack is staying put on the general roll. But 20-year-old Nathaniel Howell has changed his tune, shifting to the Māori roll.
Te tumanako ka piki haere ngā te nuinga o ngā tangata Māori me ki ka uru atu ki roto i te kāwanatanga i roto i a paremata. Koira te tumanako, engari mōhi o marika anau, ko tētahi tangata noiho. Ki te uru atu te katoa o ngai Māori, tērā pia he rereke te āhuatanga.
The death of Labour MP Parekura Horomia this year caused a by-election in Ikaroa Rāwhiti. Labour won, but if Mana and the Māori parties had joined forces, they would have taken the seat. So the Digipoll also asked Mana and Māori Party voters only whether their parties should remain separate parties, 29%, divide Māori seats between them so they don't oppose each other, 16%, don't knows, 4.7%, but more than half felt it's time for the Mana Party and the Māori Party to unite, 50.2%.
If they had have just worked together and stopped fighting over the seat between Mana and Māori, they may have actually got enough votes to take that seat from Labour, and so that just goes to show that the bickering isn't really good for progression.
You know, the kids shouldn't see mum and dad fighting. It's just a matter of, like, people look at Māori politics from the outside. Either Māori look at politics or like the mainstream look at Māori politics, and they go, man, they're divided. They can't make up their own minds amongst themselves.
Maybe they need some women in there to mediate the problem.
Two leaders, two parties, me versus us. The power of individual rohe or the power of one.
I don't think that when you're representing a rohe, you should have to follow along with the tagline of the party. For me, that's not a Māori thing to do. If you've been given the mandate from your people to do something, you do it. You don't sit there and say, I can't because my boss said no.
Kia tino eke ai tātou te iwi Māori, me ngātahi ai te hoi, me ngātahi ai te hoi o te waka, me tātou ki te whakaaro kotahi. Kia kaua tātou e taupatupatu wainganui a tātou anō.